Let's begin. So I'm going to start off by welcoming everybody to our Empower Dementia Network. This is the launch of our funding for our small research projects. So my name's Catherine Evans. I am a Professor of Palliative Care and Honorary Nurse Consultant at the Cicely Saunders Institute, King's College London. I co-lead the network with Emma Wolverson. Emma, do you want to just say hi so that people know who you are and that you're going to be presenting as well?
Hi, yes, good morning, everyone. Yeah, my name's Emma Wolverson. I'm a Professor of Ageing and Dementia from the University of West London and research lead at the charity Dementia UK. Sorry, my camera won't switch on at the moment. I'm not sure why. I'll keep fiddling. Good to see you all today.
No problem. And Andy, do you just want to say hello as well, because you're going to be speaking?
Yeah, I have to click off the presentation full view to put my mic back on for some reason. But hi everyone, I'm network manager. I'm researcher on the Empower Dementia Network, and yeah, it's really great to see so many people joining today, and we look forward to presenting to you all about the Small Research Project Fund.
Lovely, thank you. And Liba, do you want to just say hello? So people have been receiving lots of emails from you and Stephanie. It's probably quite nice for them to put a face to an email signature.
Hi everyone, I'm Liba. I'm the RA on Empower, and I work with Emma at UWO.
Brilliant. And Stephanie?
Hi all, I'm Stephanie. I'm one of the RAs as well, and I'm at King's College London.
Fantastic, thank you. So this first slide just gives you what we're going to cover in this hour. So we're going to just give a little bit, just a couple of slides on what is the Empower Dementia Network, so you have more of a sense as to who we are and what we're trying to do. We're then going to introduce some of our lived experts and then some of our community partners who are just going to talk through the importance of the network for them and the importance of this small project funding. We're then going to give information about the small project funding, the expressions of interest, which is what we are opening today, and the process and the timelines to apply for funding from the network. Most importantly, this is an opportunity for you to be asking us questions about the funding that is available. So we have a Q&A function, so you can either write questions in the Q&A function or you can pop them in the chat. Please do that as we're going through. Stephanie and Liba will be collating those, and then we've given plenty of time towards the end for us to be able to answer those in the webinar, and we'll also follow up with that afterwards as well, posting a frequently asked questions on our website. So next slide. So I'm just going to very briefly tell you what the Empower Dementia Network is. So the QR code that you can see on this slide, please do scan that, and that takes you directly to our website, which introduces much more as to who we are, who our community partners are, who are our lived experts, and what is it that we're trying to achieve by working together. So the Empower Dementia Network is focused very much on addressing inequalities in dementia care and research. So addressing inequalities in dementia care for adults living with dementia requiring increasing support and their family carers. And we focus specifically on some very prominent underserved groups in the provision of dementia care and research. So adults from ethnically diverse groups, adults who live alone, those living in socioeconomic disadvantage, living in rural areas, people with severe dementia and multiple conditions. So that's very much our intention, is levering change for all to receive excellent and high quality dementia care. The way that we work, our underpinning approach is very much in using co-production. So very much in working together, working collaboratively, building trust, building meaningful partnerships to deliver our intended change. And our network is comprised of our community partners. We're all the time welcoming new community partners to be working with us. Also with lived experts, so people living with dementia and their family carers. So again, always looking for people to be joining and working alongside us. And then also the final group who work with is our health and social care practitioners from across care settings in the community and in acute hospitals, as well as researchers. And the network brought together very novelly individuals from primary care, social care, palliative care, and dementia care as the areas that are the main providers of care for people living with dementia. Next slide. So our mission, what is it that we're actually trying to leave a change for? What is it that we're intending that these small projects can help us achieve? So our mission is very much rooted in our belief that people with dementia can live a meaningful life, but that there are unfair and avoidable inequalities in dementia care that prevent people from living a meaningful life with dementia. So our network has come together really to achieve three main things, and these you can see in this slide. So working together in creative ways, so using creative ways very much of enabling inclusive involvement in our research and hearing from a diversity of voices. Secondly, in raising the voice of people from marginalised, vulnerable and underserved groups. And finally, finding new ways to do research that means more people with dementia are able to participate in meaningful ways. So that's who we are. There's plenty more information on our website. I'm now going to hand over to Emma, who's just going to introduce some of our videos and recordings from our lived experts and our community partners.
Thank you, Catherine. So first of all, we're going to hear from two of our community partners. We're going to go to Ronald first, who created a poem for us. You can see it on the screen and we'll play it as well, about really the change that we want to see as part of the Empower Network and what empowerment means.
Andy, you're on mute, so we can't hear.
Sorry about that. I'll try again.
No, was it not playing, Andy?
Not sure why that is. Let me check my settings.
When you shared, did you include the include sound?
I'm not sure. I can stop sharing and share again, and that might work.
Yeah.
Bear with.
And the include sound, you need to like click on it.
I'm with yous. Right, this should work. Sorry, everyone.
Empowerment. Take one. How you define me and refer to me is so disheartening, as everything you say devalues and disempowers me when I need empowerment, if only to breathe. Feels I'm stuck in an unhealthy lifestyle, in need of meaningful change, in need of an alternative outcome, to be empowered and not redefined, if only to breathe. And when you make decisions about my life, did you ever consider I need a choice? Anyway, I'm sitting here reading your case notes, where everything you say diminishes and devalues me. Hence, curious, to stimulate your imagination, I wonder, did you ever consider the awesome ability and personality of a brain when empowered with option and equality, if only to breathe?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ronald, for that fantastic poem. And now we're going to move on to a recording from one of our other PPI co-applicant, Martin Robertson.
We are looking to fund projects that truly empower people living with dementia and make a real difference in their everyday lives. Why do you think it's important that this change happens now?
I feel that until now there's been too much research for, if you like, research's sake, and Empower is actually going to create projects that will make an impact on us and our carers, either now or in the near future, and hopefully ongoing. That it needs to be seen that these projects are viable and can sustain themselves, which does require evaluation. However, as I said, until now, much of the research has been what I would call, I'm afraid, navel gazing and talking at research conferences, which basically just means talking shop, but and doesn't do much in the real world. However, now we're going to be able to show that with our input and organizations that represent us, that we can make a difference on the ground. And obviously this needs to be better than what's been before. And especially now, without getting political, the resources are scarce. There's no argument over that. We need to show that we and our organizations can create projects that deliver, quote, value for money, and that should help with external funders such as a government or the health boards to carry on with them, because there is an economic model that shows that if you put in a pound now, you're saving £10 in 2 or 3 years' time, and that is obviously going to help. So I think there's just no reason for it not to happen, and to be honest, it should really have happened before, but I'm glad it's happening now, and I'm glad I'm involved because I like to be involved in things that are impactful and are doing things, and I just feel that I want to leave a legacy that we can make a change in whatever field we are doing, and this seems to fit the bill. I'm grateful for the chance to be involved, and I'd like to think that even though I can bring different viewpoints to the table, that I'm positive in making a change, both within Empower, but also obviously within the UK dementia world. An example would be Scotland created its own dementia strategy a couple of years ago, and we, the people with dementia and our carers, actually wrote most of it, and some of us are still involved in the follow-up, and I think that the other 3 nations are missing a trick here, because again, it is cost effective, and we're trying to show that kind of things can be done on less money, and I just wish the project success.
Yeah, and we're so lucky to work with you. Thank you, Martin.
Fantastic, thank you. Martin really highlighting there the importance of collaborating with lived experts across these small research projects, but also throwing a challenge there for us all in terms of using these projects and this funding to make a real world difference to people living with dementia and their families now. So thank you to Martin and Ronald. We're now going to hear from two of our community partners who are going to talk to a little bit about why small funding projects such as these can make a real difference and are really important. So we have a video first by one of our community partners, Manju. So thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Manju Shahul Hamid and I am the founder of Manju Shahul Hamid Foundation for Mental Health, a registered charity based in Croydon, South London. So I just wanted to talk about who we are. Our charity was established 8 years ago to challenge the stigma surrounding mental health, particularly within marginalized and underrepresented communities, and to create inclusive, safe spaces where people can connect, heal, and thrive. One of our most impactful initiatives is the Intergenerational Dementia Cafe program, launched in 2022. Since then, we have established 3 dementia cafes in different parts of Croydon. Each cafe is rooted in strong local partnerships. Our first cafe ran in collaboration with Age UK Croydon and a local college called John Ruskin College, which bring together older adults and young volunteers. And the second cafe is supported by Croydon Council, where we welcome young people with lived experiences, including those affected by crime, mental health issues and school exclusion. And our third cafe is hosted at Croydon University Hospital in partnership with Croydon Health Services NHS Trust, bringing together clinical professionals and carers. So at all the 3 cafes, we blend intergenerational learning, creative engagement, safety advice, gentle exercises, meditation, and so on. And these sessions are not only support those living with dementia and their carers, but also give young people vital exposure to social care settings, offer inspiring them to different career pathways, including the health and social care sectors. I'm going to share a quick video of what happens at the cafe. You can see how much our guests enjoy these cafes. So despite the growing demand and overwhelmingly positive community's feedback, we have struggled to secure dedicated funding to evaluate the long-term impact of the cafes, both on individuals and on wider social care and NHS. That is why funding opportunities like the Empower Dementia Network Small Research Project Fund is so critical. As a charity, we are working in partnership with Goldsmith University of London and Dementia UK to develop a focused research study that will assess our cafes across 3 core areas. So this research isn't about ticking boxes. It is about real people, about daughters supporting mothers, teenagers discovering compassion, and communities standing together. It's about redefining aging, care, and mental health support at the local level. So what are our goals? Our objectives include demonstrating cost effectiveness to attract sustainable funding, reducing pressure on statutory services like the NHS and the adult social care, expanding the cafes into new neighborhoods to reach more isolated families. Small research funding plays a vital role in helping grassroots initiatives demonstrate impact, drive innovation through evidence-based practice, and foster meaningful collaboration between communities and academic institutions. We are incredibly grateful for this opportunity to share our vision. And I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity, and you can find more details about the charity here, and please feel free to get in touch with us if you would like to connect, and thank you once again.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Manju, for a fantastic presentation. What incredible intergenerational work happening there in Croydon, and highlighting how small projects might help to demonstrate impact and promote further innovation in this great initiative. And that's something we'd love to see these projects doing. Our final community partner who's going to speak is June Cook, who's from the Butterflies Dementia Support Group in Hull.
Hello, everyone.
June, are you here? Yes, you are. I'm just going to share the slide and then have you talk to them if that's all right. You're on mute at the minute, so you have to unmute, June. But they're timed, so once I put them up, if you're happy to go, just let me know.
They're timed, are they? Right, okay.
Yeah.
Morning,
Okay.
yeah. Morning, everyone. Just a little bit about who Butterflies are. We are a registered charity in Hull, started 15 years ago when my dad was diagnosed with dementia, and it's kind of my dad's legacy. At Butterflies, we've always felt the status quo in the way people were being with dementia and their carers are being supported is not good enough. We need to change, and we need to be part of that change. We've welcomed students to our groups and been part of their research projects, and we've always encouraged students to come along and volunteer for at least 3 or 4 sessions before they launch into their research, to build up a bit of a relationship with the participants, making those taking part feel less like guinea pigs. The subject of research, whilst interesting to the student, often not always what was felt important by those experiencing life with dementia. Often these involved quite dry, unexciting questionnaires, which in many cases we were not even shown the results of the research. When I saw the opportunity of being part of the Ideas Fund project, I jumped at the chance to take part. It offered us an opportunity to ask our members what they felt they needed researching and improving, and an exciting and more user-friendly way of researching. Our participants told us they wanted information at diagnosis, which was written by people living with dementia, not medics, and by those caring for them. They wanted honest, warts and all resources, looking at the subjects that are often avoided because they are taboo subjects to talk about. Subjects such as sleep, toilet issues, feeling guilty, what they wish they'd known about dementia before experiencing it, death and planning for the future, anger and resentment, relationships and hallucinations, to name just a few of the areas we looked at. The project gave us more flexible budgets, which allowed for a realistic way of working. We were able to respond to the changing needs of those taking part using various forms of art, photography, poetry, music, painting, printing, sculpting, and even virtual reality to achieve our goals. It meant we could also offer some exciting workshops not normally in our budget. Using these methods gave us a more relaxed atmosphere, which was more productive and meant more people could and wanted to take part. The resources we've produced are in a variety of mediums: booklets, films, readings, a training roadshow of display boards addressing the 4 main learning styles: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and reading and writing. We are looking forward to being part of the Empower Dementia Network project, in fact, jumping at the chance to take part in another one. I think finally, one point to make about this way of researching is the great sense of pride our members feel who have taken part in some of the ways in making life easier for those to follow them with their own dementia journeys in the future. Oh, I did it in good time then.
You did, June. That was
that's
fantastic.
what happens when I have a script. So I'm sorry if it's only very dry and red.
No, that was fantastic. And you know, when you said about small funding being a chance to do things differently and to use a range of creative methods driven by the needs of the people in your group, I think that's just outstanding. And you know, creativity so important, and great to see some of the resources there that you created from your small project funding. So fantastic. Thank you. So let's move on then. We've heard about the Empower Network. We've heard about how small project funding can be important. We've been challenged by our PPI co-ops to make a real world difference. And we've heard that this is a chance to do things differently. So let's hear now about the funding opportunity that's being offered. And I'm going to hand over to Andy. As we said, please feel free to put questions in the chat. Stephanie and Liba will monitor those as we go through. Okay, Andy, over to you.
Thanks, Emma. And just a quick thank you to Ronald, Martin, Manju and June for presenting. Yeah, really glad to have you part of the network and all of our community partners and lived experts. And so I'm going to talk a bit more about some of the information and kind of key aspects of the small research project funding. Starting with the purpose, what we're trying to achieve through this funding opportunity. And the first thing that we want to achieve is to support small collaborative research projects that address inequalities in dementia care and research for those needing greater support. And by people needing greater support, we're referring to people with dementia or people affected by dementia who get to the point where they struggle to self-manage and need to lean on and draw on different forms of support, whether it's formal or informal, in helping them manage their dementia. And so linked to that, what we want to do is to use this fund to connect people that do amazing work and have aligned interests and goals, but often don't always work with one another or work in silos. And so this funding opportunity, we want to connect community partners with lived experts, with practitioners and researchers in co-developing these research projects and then going on to deliver them. In terms of what we mean by research projects, we take quite a broad view as to kind of how we've conceptualised this. And what we welcome at any small scale pieces of work that uses research methods. So we've put here interviews, surveys or creative co-design. These are just some examples of research methods that might be used, but it can be anything. And I know June spoke about photography and poetry. All of these different kind of ways of doing research and understanding, exploring, evaluating or co-developing solutions to inequalities in dementia care and research are what we welcome. And so we've just put a few examples here on the screen of what that might look like. It might be early stage or exploratory studies, might be evaluations of initiatives that happen in local community groups and in grassroots groups. It might be pilots that lay the groundwork for larger research in the future. It might be about scaling up work that's already successful in local communities and in grassroots groups. Or it might be looking at innovative approaches to embed inclusive practices in research or in care and to challenge stigma at a societal level. So these are just kind of a taster, and you know, it's not an exhaustive list of the different types of things that we might fund, but hopefully it gives you an idea of what we mean by research projects. And if you're not sure on whether your idea kind of falls within this remit, please just ask us, email us, and we can have a conversation about your idea and, you know, whether it fits within the remit of what we mean by research. So in terms of the projects that we will fund, you can see here that we've got 4 priority areas. So the first one's raising public awareness and addressing stigma and exclusion. The second is supporting families, friends and unpaid carers of people living with dementia. The third is building a compassionate, skilled and supported workforce. And then finally, inclusive uses of technology, whether that's digital tools, online platforms, virtual reality, AI. And so what we welcome are research projects that fall within one or more of these priority areas. So if people can link them together, that's great, but we expect them to fall within at least one. And I think an important thing to mention about these priority areas is that they've been co-developed through extensive co-production work across the network since October last year. So we work with our community partners in developing creative methods of co-production that we could use to go out and ask people affected by dementia what excellent and inclusive dementia care looks like to them. And so since October, our community partners across the UK have held these workshops and engaged over 120 participants. And what we've done is basically synthesised all of people's inputs into these priority areas. And when you look on the website, there's a bit more information about exactly what we mean by, the different priority areas and the things that we're looking to fund within them. But I really just wanted to say thank you to our community partners and people as part of those community groups in helping us co-develop these priority areas to make sure that we're funding things that matter to people and that will make an impact to their lives. As Martin said, in the short term, as opposed to in 5 to 10 years' time. So in terms of who can apply to and submit an expression of interest, we invite expressions of interest from everyone. It doesn't matter if you haven't done research before, it doesn't matter if you haven't submitted a grant before, if you haven't put in an expression of interest before, that doesn't matter. We've really been purposeful in being inclusive in terms of who we want to apply. So you see the list here, we welcome submissions from people with lived experience of dementia. You might be a family member, a friend, unpaid care of someone living with dementia. You might be doing research, you might be a community organisation, whether or not you're a charity, foundation, local grassroots group. You might be a practitioner working in health and social care or in settings where you work with people who are affected by dementia. And similarly, volunteers that will be working with people and volunteering alongside people who are affected by dementia. We welcome expressions of interest from all of these different groups. The one thing we do expect is co-production to be at the heart of the projects, and that's both in terms of proposals being co-developed, in terms of the ideas being generated, but also in the methods of delivering the projects should they be funded. Really, co-production has to be infused into the methods of the proposals. And in funding research projects, what we want is to see that community partners and lived experts are being involved in meaningful and purposeful ways, and that they're being fairly remunerated for their participation, for the time that they give, the contributions, and all of the expertise that they will bring to co-developing the project ideas. And so in supporting people developing project proposals using co-production, on the 17th of June from 10 till 11:30, we're delivering training on co-production. So if you scan that link there, the QR code there, sorry, that will take you to the registration page for the training. And we really encourage people that are thinking of putting in an expression of interest to come to that training. It's being led by community partners and lived experts across the network who are very experienced in doing co-production using inclusive methods, but also co-production grounded in kind of local community groups. To further support co-production, teams can apply for a co-production fund of up to £5,000. And what this is there to do is to support teams in, whether it's in-person meetings, whether it's about reimbursing lived experts and community partners for their time and contributions, researcher support, or for things around accessibility, translation and interpreting. And so just to give you an overview of the timeline and process of the Small Research Project Fund. So we're obviously on the 2nd of June today and officially have opened our expressions of interest. And there's a 6-week period between now and the deadline, which is the 11th of June. So we ask people to submit by 1 o'clock on the 11th of June, and that's UK time. And then the plan from there is, once we've received all of the different expressions of interest, is we're going to start matching applicants based on similar interests or similar goals or ideas. The idea being that we will probably get people that work in research or lived experts or community partners that have similar interests or similar ideas. And what we want to do is to match them together and encourage them to form small project teams in which they can go on and develop their full applications. And that's really about, you know, connecting people from across the network together. And then in late August, we will open our co-production fund, which will be there to for people to apply. And as I said, that's to support the collaborations and co-producing project ideas. And then in September, we will have a sandpit event. And again, that's to support bringing people together in person to co-develop their proposals, but also to pitch their ideas to researchers or lived experts as a kind of soundboard, really, that they can go and take that feedback away and really developing their full applications. And we'll give people their co-production funding awards open for full applications, and then have a 3-month period between September and the end of November where people can work together in developing their full project proposals, either for £10,000 or £20,000 worth of funding. We'll award projects in December 2025 with the view that in January 2026 projects will be ready to start and be delivered through next year. And so that's an overview of the Small Research Project Fund, what we're looking to fund, the purpose of funding, who can apply, and a bit about the process. But if you have any questions, now's the time to ask them. And as Catherine said, what we're going to do is collate the questions you have and then put them on a frequently asked questions page on the website. So it's over to you guys now. But just before I hand over, I just wanted to say thank you to all of our partners, our co-applicants and our collaborators that you can see on the screen here. There's too many to name individually, but you can see the diversity of people that are part of the network. And yeah, without the input of all of these different people and organisations, this funding wouldn't have been possible. So a thank you to all of you guys. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and open up for questions. Liber and Stephanie, you've been moderating.
Thank you. I can see some of them that have come in. So I can see already somebody'd asked about forensic settings. Emma, you've already responded and said, yes, absolutely. Emma, I don't know if you wanted to respond to that.
No, I think, and I do think we'd have other people, other partners within the network who are interested in that setting. So yeah, this is why the matching will be so useful. So yeah, that would be a group that we would see as definitely being excluded from research. So yeah, and the same with individuals with learning disability and dementia that someone mentioned. Again, I know we've definitely got community partners who are also interested in that as well. So yeah, please share your ideas and that will help us to link you together as well.
Yeah, so please do. I can see people are putting in the chat that they'd like to be connected. So please use that expression of interest form so that we can connect people. And we've designed it to be as accessible and brief as possible. We just want to know who people are, what are your interests, so that we can begin to connect people together. And then on that timeline, we have an in-person event at the end of August. And then we'll also provide that probably as a webinar to begin to bring together those teams as well. So please do that as the first step. And I can see there's been questions about, are we recording the webinar? So yes, we are. And this will also be available on our website as well for people to watch back over. And then I should also just add, with the expression of interest form, Andy did say, you know, it doesn't matter if you've had no experience whatsoever, but ever doing anything like this before. This is exactly, we're wanting to, you know, connect people who have innovative ideas with others who are able to support and work with them to pursue those. The form also looks intimidating, you can also just email us, and Stephanie or Liber can then talk through with you, and then we can complete that form that way as well. So please don't be intimidated that we're asking you to complete a form. We're also very happy to do that verbally with individuals as well if you would prefer. So I can see there are more questions coming in. Liber, were there any? Okay, I can pick that. So, so how do you register our organisations to be part of the Empower Network? So to do that, if you can just email us is the simplest way. So if we just pop, so Stephanie's just popped that in the chat. That's our generic email address for the network. If you just email us, telling us a little bit about you, we can then reply and tell you a little bit about the network so that we have a shared understanding about what it is that we're trying to achieve together. And then we can detail for you different ways that you might want to be involved in how you work with us. And then Emily, I can see we're interested in raising dementia diagnosis in underserved communities. Would this be something covered on the funding? So for the network that's looking much more at inequalities in diagnosis is our colleagues up in Liverpool. Maybe we can just pop their link in the chat as well. So our network is focusing very much on inequalities for adults needing increasing support, so further along in the dementia trajectory, but we work very collaboratively with the other 3 networks that are all looking at different aspects of dementia care. So dementia diagnosis, less part of what we're doing, but our colleagues in Liverpool and also in Exeter, much more their focus of the research, so we can connect you with them. I beg your pardon, Louise has just said, sorry, Louise, we are diagnosis and care. Okay.
Sorry, Catherine, there are just some questions in the Q&A. So someone's just asked, can partnerships be built locally / regionally before EOI, or do they need to be matched through the process?
So I don't think I quite understood that, Liber. Can you just?
So I think it's just asking, can I think I can answer this. So yes, you can already have a team before, and just let us know. There's an option for you to let us know who is in your team, and if you already have a team, that's fine. But if not, then we'll just match you with someone.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Others? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, and then how many projects are likely to be funded?
So for the expressions of interest, the initial £5,000, that's we want to be as inclusive as possible with that, so we'll use that quite flexibly. And then for the funding, the bigger funding pots, we're looking to fund projects at £10,000 and £20,000. At the moment, we're looking at 4 to 5 for each of those. But again, it will depend on the applications that we receive. We've also been given a steer that ideally it would be that the funding is used for 2 rounds. So this is obviously round 1. We've been advised from our steering group that actually we should have a second round as well. So that then gives us flexibility, that it enables some teams that their proposal might be not quite fully worked up, that we can then support them and encourage them to then submit again in our round 2. Okay, Emma, were there any questions that you can see that you wanted to pick up?
There's a question about whether the funding covers researchers' salaries and whether it covers overheads.
So it's a very small pot of money. So we're not anticipating that 10 or 20,000 is not going to really encompass much researcher time. As Andy said in his presentation, and I said at the beginning, this is very much about using principles of co-production. So what we would want to see is that there is equal funding to community partners and lived experts. that they are very much supported to be part of this process. And applications where all the money is going to researchers' salary in a university, then we're not going to be able to fund those, because it's not really speaking to our fundamental principles of co-production and making sure that we are reimbursing our lived experts and the community partners who are working alongside the researchers and the health and social care practitioners. Will it include overhead funding? No, because the pot is too big, too small, and we need the money that's been allocated to researchers to be really quite discreet, to make sure we stick to our principle of co-production in the way that we're fostering teams to work together.
Another question, Catherine, that's linked. Do applicants need to have co-production as part of it? Is it a stipulation for every application?
Yes, it is. So as Andy said in his presentation, we're absolutely looking for expectation that the teams are working together using principles of co-production. I urge everyone who's interested to join the training session on co-production. That will also be available on our website, and also the resources as well that we're promoting to support methods of co-production within the teams. Andy, did you want to come in?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that, that as Catherine said, co-production does have to be at the heart of the projects. For people that are submitting an expression of interest as an individual, I guess it would be having a commitment to work, using the methods and principles of co-production when matched with other teams and developing the full application. So if you've got an idea as an individual and you're wondering how do you work in co-production to your application, it would more so be a commitment at this stage. But yeah, certainly for the full applications, co-production has to kind of be infused throughout, really.
Great, thank you. And then I can see around the timelines, the full details, the funding deadlines and types of projects. Yes, so that will all be on our website. I think most of that information is already there, Andy, is that right? Yeah, with the timelines of the in-person sandpit event.
There is another question on the time. If projects start in January 2026, do you have an end date? Evaluations often take over 12 months.
Yeah, so they were the network runs until, gosh, remind me, we're 4 years, so it will run until 2027, end of 2027. So yes, absolutely. If you start in January, you have 12 months to deliver the project. What we really would like to see is that people are using the small project funding in what for us will be year 3, so that in year 4, the final year of our network, that the teams are then using that small project funding to then pursue larger research grants in year 4 with the support of the network to achieve that as well.
Sorry, there's just another question in the Q&A. So with ethnic minority groups being vastly diverse, would the funding support pilot project on a specific minority group?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's about making the case for the focus of a different group and connecting individuals with others. And as you can see from the presentations we had from the community partners, that they are supporting a diversity of groups, and some of our community partners support very specific ethnic groups. And yes, absolutely. Emma, I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
No, I agree. I think it absolutely makes sense, doesn't it, to take a really in-depth and thoughtful perspective. So yes, thank you. There's a couple more questions coming through. So Molly has said they have an existing team of people with dementia and carers who support local researchers and community groups. And she's looking for funding for taxis and biscuits. Is this in line with the funding?
Well, Emma, do you want to answer that?
I think it's going back to what Martin said at the beginning there, that we really want projects that are going to have make a real world difference for people with dementia, that have a clear pathway to impact and are going to bring some change. So I think you've got a lovely model there of community partners and people with dementia and researchers, but I think we'd need to see a real clear focus of how this is going to make a difference to the lives of people with dementia and reach people who are often excluded. And just remembering that focus around when people need more support as well.
On that, there is a question from Carol on Dawn, sorry. How important is it that the idea is something that can be replicated or scaled up, or can it just have a local place-based impact where it's operating?
So I think, Dawn, thank you for your question. That's really important. So what we're interested in is particularly local innovations, but opportunity to support the evaluation and understand the scalability of them. So very much those local innovations, and just as Emma was saying, how can we support those local innovations to grow and to have a much wider impact for people living with dementia? We're very aware that for lots of local organisations that's often where the innovation happens. So hearing Manju talking about the intergenerational work that they've been doing in Croydon, you know, is a great example of how they've been able to foster that. And we're looking for opportunities that those examples of innovation that make a difference for people living with dementia, how can we actually pursue and support those so they have a much wider impact for people living with dementia and their families? Other questions coming in the chat?
We've got a question from Vanessa about whether we're going to offer training on undertaking research for people with offering training on undertaking research for people with lived experience. So we've got the co-production training that we've mentioned, Vanessa, so that's definitely worth signing up to. That's specifically on co-production with people with dementia. But that, again, that's where we can match people with skills. We've got a lot of researchers here who are used to conducting research with people living with dementia, a lot of community partners and lived experts who have expertise in research. So again, if that's an area where you're looking for us to connect you with people, you can put that in the expression of interest form, and that's something we can link you with people who have expertise in that area.
Yeah. And that's certainly something important in ensuring that lived experts have understanding and knowledge about the research cycle and what that looks like. And that's certainly something as a network that there's lots of resources around that we can also collate. And again, it's something that we can always offer a webinar like this on around the research cycle and involvement as a lived expert in that. And I'm sure our lived experts who work alongside us would be able to very much support with that. Any other questions?
There's a question in the Q&A from Unity. Is there innovative work going on around dementia-specific training for hospital staff?
Okay, thank you, Unity. Very good question. So yes, there's plenty of training around dementia, both for inpatient and community settings. Again, if that's something that you're particularly interested in evaluating that or providing more of a synthesis of what training do we actually understand makes a difference, then please do complete the expression of interest on that. And then a few other questions in the Q&A. Okay, I think we've answered those. Emma, was there anything else that you wanted to add about training in hospitals? Anything from Hospice UK, from Dementia UK?
No, I'm sure we would have some expertise around amongst our Admiral nursing colleagues though, so that would be something to put in again, and we can help with matching. Yeah, Andy.
Yeah, the only question that I was going to raise that I've gotten over email a couple of times is some people have asked if it's okay to have international collaborators as part of the fund. So the short answer is yes, but the project needs to be based in the UK, and the person well, one of the co-leads at least needs to be an institution that can receive UKRI funding, which is on their website. So yes, you can collaborate internationally, but it has to be based within the UK.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. And I think that's important, that part of the work of the network is also both national and international collaborations, really in sort of amplifying the voice of people affected by dementia, and again, sharing understanding on innovations, the solutions that we know that work, the innovations that we would like a better understanding of how do they work and how could they be implemented more widely. So absolutely opportunity to be connecting and bringing in international partners as well. Okay, any final questions? We've just got 2 minutes left. Anything else that we've not responded to? No. Okay, so I think then finally to say thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really exciting to see so many people engage with the network. Please do email us. We're, as I said at the beginning, we're very much looking to build and grow the network across all England and our devolved nations in Scotland and Northern Ireland and Wales, and also connecting with our international partners as well. So we've tried to be as comprehensive as possible on our website in terms of detailing information. But please, if there's anything that you're not clear about, please do email us and we can respond via email. As Andy said, the questions that have been asked today, we'll pop those in a frequently asked question, and then we'll also upload that onto our website as well, so that you can review that. Emma, do you want to close for us?
No, thank you so much. It's great to have so many people join. I think it's just repeating those messages from our fantastic co-ops this morning about, that we're here to make a real world difference, and that challenge to do that really, and to be creative and to have fun, and to create partnerships that will lead to more research. There's some fantastic work out there going on with our community partners that we need to think about, how we get the impact from that, how we amplify that, how we innovate. So yeah, I'm really excited to receive expressions of interest, to match people. This is about a network and creating those opportunities to promote further research. So we can't fund everything, but we can maybe set some teams together and help them to look at other funding for other ideas as well. So any ideas, please get them on paper, share them with us. And there's no such thing as a daft question, so please do get in touch. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, everyone, and we really look forward to hearing from you all.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Great to see you all, and we look forward to receiving your expressions of interest and working with you on this call. Thank you.